I was born in Meadowlands, Soweto. I grew up in a very close-knit family during a very exciting but equally tumultuous time in South Africa. It was a happy home, at least for the first few years. At the time, it was the clashes between the ANC and the Inkatha Freedom Party. All of a sudden, someone bursts through the door and says, "Everyone, get out!" I went to live with my uncle and his wife, and my brothers went to live with my grandmother. The house was a shebeen. There was a particular old man, and he took an interest in me. In my mind, it was shame, shame, shame. You did that. My dad actually went to his grave without ever knowing.
You're listening to Not the Same, a podcast that brings you true stories of real people sharing their personal testimonies of transformation. I am Rachel Heinberg. Today I am here with Vutumelo Malema. Tumi, as we call her, is the wife of Sizwe Malema, the man who was my previous guest on the podcast. We got a tiny glimpse of her story then, but I'm really looking forward to hearing her tell us the rest. She is a daughter, a sister, a wife, a mother of two, and a beautiful person, so let's get to it. Thank you very much for agreeing to share your testimony.
Thank you, Rachel. Nice intro.
It's true though, inside and out. So let's start going back where you're from, where you grew up.
Yeah. Okay, so I was born in Meadowlands, Soweto. I am the only daughter. I have an older brother and a younger brother, so I'm right there in the middle. I grew up in a very close-knit family, loving parents, married. So I was born in 1980. So I grew up during a very exciting but equally tumultuous time in South Africa, political-wise. My parents were both involved, but my mother more so in the political landscape, always attending Winnie Mandela rallies and always toy-toying. So she was...
And what was her motive? Because that's interesting. I've never had anyone on here that's said anything about their political. Obviously, we know the fall of apartheid was amazing and that needed to happen. Yeah. But in 1980, that's still 14 years before.
Yes.
So she was very involved.
Yes, she was very involved.
Okay.
She was 17 years old when 76 happened.
And what happened in 76?
The school children were protesting against having Afrikaans as a language of instruction in schools. And they said, no way. They all came out, they toyed, and tragedy happened.
Okay.
The police force shot at unarmed school children.
And so this was the June 16th, what do we call it? Youth Day.
Youth Day, exactly. Okay. So that's when the Hector Peterson tragedy happened. And that's when she said it's like her childhood ended. Okay. And she felt like I couldn't sit on the sidelines anymore. Even though both of them were somewhat involved, my mother was a lot more passionate. There's a big age gap between them two.
What's the age gap?
15 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So let's pause there. When did they get married?
Okay.
How old was she?
So my dad was 35. My mom would have
20.
been, yes, when they got married. But when she got pregnant with my brother, it was in 78.
Okay.
And so she was like 17.
Okay.
It was a big deal that she got pregnant by an older man. But he took responsibility and a couple of years went by before they got married. I think it's good to mention the age gap because my father was then a lot more mature and he would hold back a lot more. But my mom was very young and passionate.
And was he very supportive of her?
Yes, because our home was what's called a safe house. So all the people going to exile, they would come through my house first. They would hide and leave under the cover of night.
Do you have memories of this?
I definitely have memories of the comrades, as they were called, congregating in our lounge.
Just like a pass-through.
It would
like
be
a safe place on their way to something else.
Yes, on their way to either Botswana or Tanzania or the US even.
Okay.
Our former mayor, Paxtau, is from Meadowlands. So when you are going to be like a veteran, you have to have people vouch that you were involved in the movement involvement.
I see.
And so Park Stau is one of the people that wrote it down. You know, we went to her house and she kept us safe.
Oh,
Fed
wow.
us. They even taught her how to use an AK-47
Your mom.
in case the police came looking for and things like that. So it was exciting, but she was always gone. Okay.
Okay.
She worked during the week. So did my dad. But during the weekends, she was out at some rally or other. And so that
So
was
how did it translate with a religion? Was there any form of religion growing up?
Absolutely. So my parents actually met at a Methodist church.
Okay.
So my dad was kind of like the guy about town, but they would have choir practices or services at the Methodist church. And so my mom noticed, oh, this guy, he has such an amazing voice. But my dad, it wasn't his religion per se, but he actually became a ZCC member from around 78,
Okay.
soon after my brother was born.
And do you think that was politically motivated as well?
No, not at all.
They
Yeah,
just wanted to be a part of something.
definitely.
Church, I mean.
Church, yeah. My dad, apparently, he was a heavy drinker, going to jazz clubs and whatnot.
Okay.
He was from Sophia Town. And Sophia Town was a very exciting place before they were all moved to Meadowlands. He was exposed to that.
Probably once your brother was born, he said,
Yeah, he settled down and stopped drinking. So I think he joined the church because he was like, I need a change in my life. Yeah.
Okay.
So fast forward, all of this exciting time politically is happening and the home was happy. You would find us either cleaning the house or singing or laughing, but it was a happy home, at least for the first few years.
Yeah. What's the age difference between you?
My older brother's 2 years older than me, and my younger brother's 15 months younger.
So that was quick.
Yes, they got married right after I was about 5 months old. Yeah.
Okay.
They got married December of 1980, and I was born July of 1980.
Okay.
We always say my brother is the honeymoon baby because he came 9 months exactly after. We are close in age, and we also have an amazing relationship, just very close. But I think having the age difference between them two, it could cause conflict. My dad was now ready for, you need to be a wife and you need to be home now and behave like this.
And she wants to be a
And she was like, the kids are out of nappies now. I am going to continue doing my thing. And so sometimes that would be a bone of contention. But never once did I really hear my dad raise his voice at my mom or hit her or anything like that. We realized much later on there were some issues, but they wouldn't fight in front of us. It was a secure upbringing.
Yeah.
But when I was in primary school, at the time, it was the clashes between the ANC and the Inkatha Freedom Party.
Okay.
We were living very close to the hostel. Those would be your IFP adherents. Sometimes it would be so scary. You are grade 2, grade 3, and you're sitting there, and then all of a sudden someone bursts through the door and says, everyone get out, go home. And you just have to grab your bag and just run away because it means the guys from the hostel are making their way and they will beat people, kill people.
So these were politically motivated parties, and then they were fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And so a few times I had seen necklaced people.
What does that mean?
So that means they would put a tire around your neck and set it on fire.
I've never heard that term.
So we wouldn't go to school for a couple of days. It would die down, go right back to school. Nobody really says anything.
Because that's the environment.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
It was intense.
Yeah, the level of unrest. It just breeds that.
Yeah. So from the ages of about 5 to 6, I stayed in the Northwest with my dad's brother and his wife.
What was the reason for that?
My parents were working and they couldn't get adequate childcare for us. My mom was like, I can't deal with all 3 of them. They're very small. Let's send them away. I went to live with my uncle and his wife, and my brothers went to live with my grandmother.
Was that difficult for you?
100%.
Okay.
It felt like forever. Mom said it was just several months. It wasn't that long. And I was like, Mom, it felt like you left me. I felt abandoned. I felt scared. I had a teenage cousin that we stayed with, but she was antisocial or something, a university student. I think if I opened her door, she would be like, no, go away, go away. So I was like the only child basically in the house, and I was vulnerable. So the house was a shebeen.
Okay.
We had people coming to buy alcohol, and they would sit outside under the tree, or they would sit inside if we had inclement weather. I remember the table, it had a glass top, and under the glass, all these pictures. And then they will put a plastic table covering. So there was a particular old man who would come there, and he took an interest in me. When I was 5 years old, he would always bring me sweet and 20 cents and whatever. Just always talking to me, squeezing my cheeks. So whenever he would come, I gravitated towards him.
You were isolated, so
Oh, yeah.
a friend.
Exactly. And he was very grandfatherly. This actually happened more than once, but this time it stands out because of what would ensue after this happened. And he said, go under the table. And I went under the table and he exposed himself to me and he molested me. He had me touch him and do things. And my aunt must have noticed this somehow because she wrenched me from under the table and dragged me to the bedroom and said, what are you doing to that man? And I was like, I don't know. And so she took her slipper and she just started going at me. She said, what are you doing to that man? And I was just crying. I didn't know what I was doing. But she left and then she went to the guy and I thought maybe she's going to start fighting with the man. But no, that didn't happen. She just wagged her finger at him and that was the end of that. It's not like he got kicked out.
They come back all the time.
He did come back all the time, but I was told to stay away from him. So in my mind, that was my first exposure to sexuality and it was shame. Shame, shame, shame. You did that. And you saw this. And even growing older, I don't forget how scared I was. And of course, I was told, don't say anything. So I didn't tell my mom when she would visit every other weekend. My dad actually went to his grave without ever knowing that I was molested.
This, unfortunately, is very common.
Yeah.
A lot of places it's like this, but I do see it here. Obviously, this is where I am. The shame always falls on the girls. Like, don't tell anyone. We don't talk about family business.
Yes.
And you don't have any way of healing. And you grow up thinking that, oh, I'm wrong. I'm bad. I did something wrong.
100%.
So looking back as an adult, did you notice after that incident, did everything about your life change?
It did. First of all, I would get scissors and just cut everything I could get my hands on.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was a problem.
Yeah.
It was compulsive. Just cut, and destroy. And so they would always be watching me. Even sometimes when we'd visit somewhere.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's an interesting manifestation of that emotion.
Yeah. And just fear of the dark.
Okay.
I was terrified of the dark.
Did your mom ever question that you were different? Obviously, she sent you a certain way and you came back a different way.
I think she was just too busy. It was never a conversation until I was much older and we had this difficult conversation, just accusing, and it was a fight between us. She said, I did what I had to do and I'm so sorry. It was just for a few months. I said it felt like forever.
Yeah, probably because of what was happening.
Yes. And so I felt like she didn't quite get it.
Yeah.
For years, there would be like an issue hanging over our heads. And we have an issue of colorism also in our communities. So I am the only dark-skinned one in my family.
And let me just say that you're not dark. We have so many different colors.
Shades, right? Yes.
Even amongst the Africans.
Yes.
Everyone's shade is different. You're very in the middle of brown.
Well, you met my brother. He's
lighter.
Yes.
But I would never say you're dark. That's just interesting.
The thing is, when you were a girl, it would have been quote unquote nice if I was as light as my brothers.
That's so crazy.
I know. And so you do feel like there's favoritism.
Sorry, was it in your family only? Or was it like even community?
Yeah, community-wise, you were called names like, hey, Mnyamani. Or
what does that mean?
Mnyamani is like, oh, you black thing. Or they would say, if you're having like an argument with someone, they'd be like, ay, wena umuntu. You are black, right? And so it makes you feel like your skin is not beautiful. So I struggled with self-image for a long time.
And even on top of this situation altogether.
Exactly. The mitigating factor, I would say, was my dad. He was not only a present, loving dad, but I look exactly like his mother. And so he would call me Mme. And he would tell me, Umuntle, you're pretty. So I would always feel like, I guess I'm not that bad. But then I go outside and I also was born severely cross-eyed.
Okay.
I had what's called an alternating strabismus. So my eyes were very crossed. I've had 3 eye surgeries. The kids would tease me without mercy. And so I felt like this ugly duckling and having had all these issues.
How old were you when you had your first surgery?
I was 9.
So you started school with the cross.
Yes.
Did you find that difficult?
Yes, I did. Because I felt like the words would move across the page and I would have to put one hand over my eye. So my mom had me get glasses. The doctor said it would help to focus, something like that. But I hated my glasses because I could see properly, but I could not stand the kids making fun of me, 4 eyes. Awati. So a couple of times I broke my own glasses and I would just go home and be like, I lost them.
Wow.
I was about 5 years old when I was molested by that old man. I was 9 years old when I was molested by a cousin. Yeah.
How did that come about and where were you?
We were all visiting my grandmother, and sometimes it gets very hot in the afternoon, so everybody just goes for a nap. I had like an older cousin who was a teenager and he was inappropriate. He tried to have sex with me. And I remember saying, I'm going to scream. And he was like, you better not. And I went like, I'm going to scream. And he left me. He hated me from then on. This thing is a shameful thing. It's going to follow me again. So I don't want anything to do with that.
It seems very good that you were so vocal, even though you said you had your insecurities and stuff.
Yes.
You seem like you would still have been, I would say, a precocious child.
Yes.
But that helped you. When girls have faced the one instance, the next one's usually easier and it goes farther.
Yes.
They don't have the strength to voice. They just climb up, they be quiet, they just let it happen, and then they just move on.
It's true.
The fact that you were still willing to fight says something about your nature that you're like, no, this is not okay.
Even though I don't see it that way.
Yeah.
No,
but just being able to think that instead of keep everything quiet because I'm going to get in trouble again. You were like, no, get off.
That makes sense.
Go.
Rachel, I didn't see it like that at the time. And interesting, this cousin of mine, he was a pervert from a very young age, and I was exposed to that.
Did you ever tell your mom about this instance?
I did, much later.
You just handled it on your own?
I had to handle it on my own.
But you were a baby. You're so young.
Again, the shame issue, I thought, what would my dad think? I'm a daddy's girl. I don't want to disappoint him. Another part of me was like, maybe if my dad found out, he's going to rip him to shreds and then he's going to end up in jail. I don't want my dad to go to jail. Even later on as a teenager, I was like, I should probably tell my dad now. He will kill my cousin. He was very protective.
Wow. Yeah. So then you said you were exposed to other things.
I was exposed to pornography as well around the age of 9. I remember being 9, 10. I remember being so shocked. But also it gives you this view of sexuality as, again, shame. Because why are we waiting for the parents to go to work and there's nobody home?
Yeah.
And we came from such a good home. This doesn't fit in like what we're about in this house.
So this is something that while your parents were gone?
Yeah, exactly. And so I remember just looking at this, man, it messed me up. Our parents still didn't pick anything up. They were busy.
Especially of that generation, like you said in the beginning, so tumultuous, so chaotic.
Yes.
Your mom's obviously still doing her thing and your dad's doing
his
thing. And a lot of kids, even from good homes, just raise themselves.
It's true. Latchkey kids, Americans call them. It was always just us after school.
You were 9. That's just crazy. We're talking about early 90s.
Yes.
Kids are exposed to sexuality and sex so young. But even now, it's worse. They're getting exposed even younger. They have to be.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It is.
You talked about your home life and obviously the circumstances, but what about outside of this stuff?
Okay. Growing up, I was a very good student. Despite not being able to read properly, but I could read.
Yeah.
It was problematic, but I did my best. When I was in a township school up until 1991, about 11, I was the star student. I was doing great. Then 1992, the government for the first time opened white schools to Black kids.
Okay.
I was able to go to a white school in the suburb, and I was one of 2 Black kids in our class.
Okay.
So we had like 28 kids. So that was a culture shock for me. But then I wasn't the star student anymore because the level of education was much higher.
It's different.
It was different. I remember they had us do projects. I'm like, what is that? And they said, oh, you get cardboard and then do whatever the project is. They had encyclopedias. I had none of that. They had computers. I had none of that. And imagine me thinking, oh, cardboard, like an actual brown, cutting that up, using freehand writing on lined paper. I might go to the school library and come the day, everyone has these pristine, beautiful.
Let's just say, I'm sure their parents did them for them.
Yeah.
That's how it always works. So you did your own. Good for you.
I know. It was the funniest thing. But at the time, it was humiliating. It was not funny.
Did you experience racism
I did.
there at the school?
Yes. So let me say, I didn't experience it all the time. So there was this guy, his name was Craig. He would just give me a hard time. He obviously did not like me being there. And one day, Craig called me a god. He just came up to my face and was like, yeah, you're a god. I ran to the principal's office. I said, this boy called me this word. And the principal was like, take me to him.
Wow.
But white people look alike to me.
No.
I don't know his name. I don't know his name. I just know it's this white boy who just hates my guts. I'm going class to class trying to look. I pointed out the wrong boy. And this boy was adamant. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. And it was during the time that you could still get a hiding. And he got a couple of swipes. And
poor guy.
When I realized, oh no, Craig is that guy, I even went up to the other guy and said, I'm so sorry. And he was like, just leave me alone.
Wow.
It was terrible. And he still didn't stop. However, I had these friends.
Okay.
These girls rallied around me. They went out of their way to make me feel comfortable. They would invite me for sleepovers. They would invite me for hamburgers and movies on Saturdays. Really just try to be so nice to me. And it helped to break down some of the things that I've heard growing up from my parents about white people. Fear and loathe.
Yeah.
You get all these crazy
it's from both
conflict
sides.
Yeah.
Right? That's how racism and division works just politically. Is every side is told,
be scared of them. Watch out for them.
Exactly. They're told the same about the other people. And it doesn't matter. I mean, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But we're all just people, guys. What divides us is just culture.
Yes.
Upbringing.
Yeah.
It's really nothing to do with skin color. And once you realize that, it's freeing. It's freeing.
It is. And once you also realize that you have so much in common. You really, really want the same things. You want a good quality of life. You want a good education. You want good opportunities. You want
friends.
You just want
fun.
friends. You want fun.
What a good experience for you that, not that you experienced the bad, but you got to experience both sides, meaning people are people.
Yes, 100%. So I kind of struggled through school. In fact, I failed that year and then I repeated the next year, but went on to high school.
So this whole time, said you went to church as a family?
Yes.
Every Sunday?
It was every Sunday. There was like a midweek. I remember going in the evening.
ZCC.
Yes. I don't even remember us really going Sunday so much, but we definitely went
through the week.
Throughout
probably
the other week.
meetings.
Yeah. Just religious genuflecting and religious ritual. You come in, they put holy water on you and pat you with the special paper that's been prayed for and whatnot.
So was there ever a time for you that you yourself felt longing for more? Like, what are we doing here at this church? Or what is this doing for me?
Yeah. So first of all, my mom, she told my dad, this ain't for me. Don't force me.
Politics was her religion.
But also she grew up Methodist.
Oh, very reserved.
Yeah, very reserved.
Religious.
And so a church like the ZCC might even be looked down on. They would be like, oh, it's just too much.
Charismatic. It's more expressive.
Expressive, 100%. So my mom only went a couple of times. My dad would read the Bible all the time. My dad would pray. And so I learned that Christianity is prayer and Bible reading and drinking the special tea.
Yeah.
And acting right from my dad.
Okay.
But my mom, she was an amazing hostess. So whenever people would come, even if it was just people fixing things in the house or whatever, she will bring out the pup and cook and make meat and just feed people all the time. So I had the influence of both seeing my dad be a good person, a good dad, go to work every day for his family, go to church, and my mom, who was this community activist and who had hospitality, people coming in and out. And she was also very charismatic and laugh loud and talk to people and make them feel comfortable. She is still such a magnet, even today. That's what I was exposed to. Generosity of heart and spirit.
But I can see that. Now I've met your mom a few times.
Yeah.
Obviously, I've never met your father. Never got to meet him. And even meeting your brother. Definitely very drawing, very attractive. Both of you guys, smiley and welcoming. You can see how
we got it from them. 100%. We got it from them. And we were taught, you respect people.
Yeah.
Our parents made sure.
So then what led you to the church?
Okay. I feel like it's 1995, 1996. My parents lost their jobs.
Oh, wow.
My dad was retrenched. He was a supervisor at a big pharmaceutical company. So there was all kinds of restructuring.
Do you think this
They got laid
restructuring was because of apartheid, the fall of that? 'Cause
Well, now that you mention it,
it was right after.
it's a bit of a coincidence. So he got retrenched, and then my mom lost her job. So both of them were home. When my dad got his payout, he fixed up the house and built extra rooms outside and did all of that. Soon after that, the money ran out. And that's when I started to see that things are looking a little bit different. They're starting to fight a little bit more. And then we are going without, because we always had everything we needed.
Yeah.
But now here we are, we don't have enough money for this, or we don't have enough money for that. I think when I was like 14, 15, like right in the middle of high school, I was like, this is not looking good.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, someone introduced my mom to drugs.
Wow.
They said, sell this, you'll make quick money. But she didn't. She actually started doing drugs.
She used them instead of sold them.
Used them.
Okay.
That is her testimony and her story to tell, but I can only tell you how I experienced it from where I was standing. She changed from being a mom that was a mom to gone for days at a time.
Wow.
It's not like we had these campaigns about drugs or education about drugs. That it felt so foreign. We felt like, just stop then. If you love us, just stop. It cannot be that hard. If you're not stopping, then you must not love us. We must not be that important to you as your children, as your family, and obviously your husband. It went downhill from there. She would sell her things. Now, we also opened a tavern at our house. She would show up every now and then, just take the money and go. If my dad wasn't there, being around drugs and alcohol, look, money will not stay around.
Never.
That caused more and more fights. My dad started drinking. He hadn't drank for more than 20-something years since
your brother
77. And now here he was drinking. My mom was gone. And I was, again, the sitting duck. So most of the time I was at home.
And did you help run it?
Oh, yeah. I would run it. We'd take turns selling alcohol and just seeing people drunk, falling over, all kinds of craziness, late into the night.
Yeah, for sure. What a shift, though. The way you say it.
Yeah.
It's just, and this happened. But you have to pause and think.
Yeah.
From what we call them now as Model C schools, right?
Yes.
Where you have this great education, great opportunity. Your mom is hospitable. She's a political activist. Your father's this church-going man. Everything's provided for. And then in like less than a year, it's complete opposite.
Yes.
Now your mom's on drugs.
Yeah.
Your dad is a drinker.
Yeah.
You have a tavern. This is...
So my parents, they would tell us later on, they think there was serious witchcraft that was done against the family at that time because there was an event that happened. Even they say everything was perfect.
You can't blame sin on witchcraft.
No, yeah.
But it is interesting because, of course, the devil works, right? He'll work through anything.
Yeah.
But that must have been chaotic for you guys.
It was. It really was, because you're right. It went from night, day difference in a short amount of time. And it threw us for a loop. We don't know how to help our mom, how to navigate.
Did it push you three together or did it separate you?
We were always close, and that definitely brought us even closer.
That's amazing, because it can go both ways.
Yeah.
Families
really fall apart.
I think it was Jabu when he did his testimony, and he was saying how the problems at home isolated all of his siblings. They isolated away from each other in a time where you needed each other.
With us, the only thing I had against my brothers at the time was, you get to do whatever you want, but I'm at home.
How did school go during this time?
I didn't pass my matric very well, or as well as people thought I would, because I was supposed to be the smart one.
Never mind all this chaos going on.
Exactly. In fact, my last year of matric, I moved in with my uncle. He was a teacher at the time. But I stayed with him that year because he saw the chaos and he was like, there's no way you're going to pass living like this. So just come. We were in zone 1. He was in zone 2.
Okay.
He was divorced. So it was just me and him. And he was out most of the time. But whenever he would come back, he'd bring food. And he always made sure that I was comfortable and taken care of. It was a good, beautiful, clean house.
A bit of stability.
Okay. Yes.
This is how it should be.
Yes. So actually, when I passed my matric, my uncle cried tears. He was like, I know how hard this must have been for you. And I'm so proud of you. And that made me feel so good.
Your social life. Did you get crazy? Did you get rebellious? Did you try drugs, alcohol, boys?
I went through a lesbian phase.
Okay. How did that come about?
So when I was 13, I told you my parents liked to take in strays. So there was this girl who needed a place to stay and she was like a family friend.
Yeah.
So my mom was like, she can just come stay with us. You can help me around the house. And this woman at night, when we were sleeping, she would touch me inappropriately. She molested me. And it was not very long after that that I started thinking, I didn't know women could touch each other like that. And so I thought, oh, let me explore this side since I am so ashamed to be with a boy anyway.
Yeah. That's why I asked, because in our ministry, God has pushed us into arenas where we have met every type of person, every kind of craziness, people from all walks of life. And kids don't just become homosexual like that.
Yes.
It's always from an introduction of something.
Right.
You never mentioned it. So then I'm curious, either a friend or a person, whether they are, and then they talk about it, or through, unfortunately, sexual molestation of some kind where it introduces. You made a great point of saying, because I was already ashamed to be with a boy anyway, it made it very convenient. Yeah. And that is something I think that's very good to be aware of. Yeah. We automatically think sexual assault comes opposite sex.
Yes.
But it can come from anywhere and it's just as dangerous. It's not any less traumatizing.
Yeah. So it did affect me in that way. I started to get these ideas of maybe I should have a girlfriend. I started dressing differently. My family thought, oh, it's a phase. Yeah. I'm at home most of the time anyway, so they're not really worried. So I never went through a seriously rebellious phase. I never could get into the drinking. I tried it a couple of times. Tried smoking cigarettes. Never did catch. Weed, never. I just
saw it, what it did to your mom and your
dad,
and I'm sure it was not appealing.
Yes. So I was like, no. Now, if you wanted to know when did I get the opportunity to like have a girlfriend, this would be between the time that I was at home and walking to my grandmother's house.
Oh, wow. So not much time.
Not much time. And so you just experimenting and you're doing whatever. But because I was so protected, there was a sheltering of some kind and my dad was unemployed, so he was home a lot. Boys didn't come. So it was during that time, that was 17, 18, that my aunt got saved. The Meadowlands Church opened in July of 1998.
Okay. That's when I moved from Kenya to Prescott. July of 1998.
Really? Now, one of the things that I have to mention, I was a Mormon. I joined the LDS church around 96-ish. I was there for like a couple of years. And they were like the nicest people you're ever going to meet. And even when they told me, if you're really, really very good, a man can be the God of his own universe. And you can be his wife and have spirit babies for eternity. And I was like, fantastic. Imagine telling a woman that she would have spirit babies. And so I got super involved, just attending and having a
I bet you the structure was appealing, right? Like home.
Yes,
again,
it felt,
the kindness, the hospitality.
Yes.
All of that.
Yes.
Felt
Yeah.
familiar.
I got baptized in the order of the Melchizedek.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I'm looking at every other Christian. You're not the true church. You're like, you all are lost.
Yeah.
But even then, I knew something was missing inside of me. I wasn't saved.
That's the problem with religion.
Yeah.
It feels good.
Yes.
So many things about religion are so appealing.
Yes.
The structure, the ritual of it, the consistency.
The hospitality of the people.
The hospitality, the bright future, and
the
love of God. And so much of religion is so appealing. Yes. But without the change, you're still the same
empty.
Person, and nothing's going to fix that.
Right. Which brings me to when my aunt invited me. She bullied me into church, actually. That's what she did.
How long had she been going?
She had been going for like 2 months. She was like, to me, you see what all these things that are happening in your family, you need to come to church. And I was like, oh, but I have my church. She's like, that's not a real church. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll visit. It was a Wednesday evening because I thought now I'm a good Mormon.
Yeah.
I thought this is not the true church. I'm just doing this to shut my auntie up. I go there and lo and behold, this pastor is preaching about hell. You know the things you're doing in secret are going to separate you from God forever. And I couldn't help but look, that's me. God had my number that day because I thought I have the appearances
Of a good person.
of a good person. But I'm kissing boys, I'm kissing girls, I'm experimenting with all these things. Like, no, you are not saved. You are not born again. And so when he pulled the altar call, I was
You immediately
broken.
felt
Yes,
like
no, I
that's
was.
me.
Yes, I was broken because I knew I will be separated from God if I don't repent. He was preaching in a way I had never heard preaching before. It was like a 3-point sermon. I took it all in. When he said, you need to get saved, put your hand up. I put my hand up. Lord, I don't want to miss heaven. I knew right then I needed the change. I answered the altar call and I prayed the sinner's prayer. I did feel like something is different. It was so different, I didn't want to go visit the Mormon church anymore. So I stopped. And so elders came to visit me. Hey, we haven't seen you in a while. And I said, oh, that's because I became a born again Christian. When they couldn't talk me out of it, they sent these 2 old Black men, my dad's age. I was like, they pulling out the big guns on me now. And they said, my child, we are worried for your soul. What have you done? You are becoming an apostate. Do you know what that means? And I knew this was a fork in the road.
Wow.
I didn't know my Bible, but I knew if I say no to these men, that's it. There's no going back. And I said, no, Tate, I'm going to stay in this church. I know that I know that I know. This is the true church. It just felt different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was willing to fight for it.
Because, of course, the truth cannot be ignored. And
yes.
when you know something to be true, not just in your mind, but in your spirit, your spirit can just speak and you know, and you don't even have to. How many times do you say something and you're like, how did I even know that? Because God moves through you, right? You made up your mind. I am different.
Yes.
I can't even explain it.
Yes. I don't know.
But that is the beauty of the gospel of Jesus Christ is that you don't even have to. You don't have to be a theologian. You don't have to be this Bible scholar. You can just be like, no, my heart tells me this is true.
Yes.
And you guys can go off into your own kingdom and in your heavenly zone with your, whatever.
With the perpetually pregnant.
With your perpetually pregnant wife. Creepy.
I know. I get excited even thinking about it now, how God gave me the courage to just stand against these 2 elders from the church. But I stood and I went to church and I got baptized. But before I got baptized, I got filled with the Holy Ghost. It was like a normal service and he was calling people out on a Sunday.
Sorry, this is
Sunday
Pastor
evening.
Stacey Dillard, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And so my brother's standing behind me. He prayed for us to get filled with the Holy Ghost. And I just went blank for a second. And I just remember falling back. I just remember like a fiery, just a warmth. And I'm just speaking and I'm crying. And I just went back. I remember my brother catching me. He would say later, I always thought when you got the Holy Spirit that day, man, she's going to do something. She's going to do something great for God. They said, why did you fall? What did that feel like? I said, I don't know. Maybe I was just emotional.
Honestly, I've seen both. I remember being a kid, people were, air quotes, slain in the spirit more often. But I have definitely seen people legitimately be overcome by the Spirit of God.
Yeah, right? Just so
you are completely humbled. You are taken over. Of course, you have the charismatic, the ones that are like, that's nonsense. We don't believe in signs for the sake of signs. But who are we to put God in a box and say that the Spirit of God can't overwhelm you? Yeah, just overwhelm.
We can.
Exactly. It's almost like you can't even stand before this God that has been revealed to you.
Yeah. He always brought a good balance because that would never become like a thing, right?
Yeah.
Reacting out of no. All things must be done in order. Yeah. You can control yourself. And like, oh, okay.
Your salvation and you getting filled with the Holy Spirit. You're still living at home at this time or you're living with your uncle?
No, so this is 18, so I'm living with my uncle.
Did your family notice?
They did. I didn't become like immediately on fire, but I knew something had changed and I stopped doing a bunch of things. It was in July when the church was planted and I only got saved around November. So I had like 3 months of being 18 where I was still stupid. I snuck out a couple of times. I remember my uncle saying, if you leave this house, I just want you to know I have eyes everywhere. I was like, oh, okay. I wonder if he's saying it because he knows that I snuck out and he's like, don't try it again. I also want to kick you out of my house.
Yeah.
Or he just said it like as a warning. So by the time I'm getting saved and I just want to live for God, my family notices that me and my auntie are going to this church and I'm not as sad and depressed, but I'm just now so hopeful and all of that. And they're like, so you're going to start going to the church now? Make up your mind. What is this? One of the things my dad told us when we were around the age of 12, he said, I don't want you to come to the ZCC church just because I go there. I want you guys to have your own relationship with God. My dad told us that.
That's amazing.
I know it is. He actually gave us the right to go see what's out there. So I feel like I did get it within a very short space of time. Unfortunately, the Dillards had to leave, paperwork reasons or whatever. And then soon after that, we had David and Letty drum. I feel like then I really just took off. I was in the choir doing outreach. I was welcoming new converts. I was just having the time of my life. I loved Pastor Stacy and the foundation that he laid, but it was such a short space of time. We couldn't really get to know them, anything. But I felt like
every layer.
Yes, 100%. And so when the drums came in, man, when you are 18, 19, it's just like the world
is there.
It's different and it's such a good place to be. And now you've passed your matric and going into college, and now you're starting to think about the things that your pastor's preaching, things like being a pastor's wife and doing something for God. Very, very exciting time.
I look at it like the difference of the bliss of being a child.
Yeah.
Not everyone's childhood, but there is this element of naivete when, you're a child and you think everything is good and people are good and this is how life is. And then
then you grow up and you're like,
and you realize, no, we have to fight for something.
Yes.
And that's what Christianity is like as well. Where you're young and you're like, oh, this is amazing. Then you realize, no, sometimes you have to fight for them.
So not long after I got saved, I invited my brothers. My older brother that you've met was the first to join me. He immediately got it. Then my younger brother, he's always been like the wild card. And so we basically, come on, please just come. There's a Black American and he raps. You have to come here and rap. He showed up in his attitude and he got saved that night.
So when did your mom come?
My mom came maybe a year or so after my brothers and I.
Okay. What made her come?
It was a couple of things. We were basically now just like begging her.
Because she was still doing drugs.
Because she was still doing drugs. And I remember telling Pastor Stacy, please come visit my mom, come talk to her. He sat down with her, shared the gospel with her, but my mom did not get it at that time. The Dillards left, but it was a layer, like you said. People add something.
Yeah.
Even a caretaker pastor of 3 weeks.
Yeah.
They add something, and she didn't immediately get saved. But with the drums, I would say around 2001, she was just over it herself. She was like, I'm coming to church with you today.
Wow.
And then she kept coming to church. And then one time we had a revival. It was either Serafico Saavedra or Jesus Vizera. I know it was a crazy Mexican pastor. Very excited, just like, and then he prayed for people who had addictions. And my mom went up, never looked back after that prayer.
Wow.
Immediately set free from drugs and alcohol. Even my dad was like, what happened to you? He wasn't saved, but he would be like, hey, you guys, it's time to go to church.
You felt basically after all this time that God was putting your family back together.
Oh, exactly that. Even now, when I talk to my mom, I will remind her, remember where we came from. It was when we came to the Potter's House Christian Fellowship Church that God put us together because we were done.
Yeah.
You guys don't even know half of the things that I was up to, and that at some point as a teenager, I was suicidal, and you guys don't even know. Thank God we got saved in the Potter's House. Yeah. Being with my brothers and my mom and my aunt and my cousins in church. The Meadowlands Church had like 250 people. It was banging revival. We were doing everything, going everywhere. We were singing. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, I loved it.
That's amazing. I think that's great. Obviously, there's so much more to your story after salvation, but because I focus on salvation, we can end there because I love the picture of you had this family. It wasn't perfect, but it was so idyllic. And then sin disrupted everything.
Yes.
Sin is a destroyer of peace and life.
Yes.
And then God put those pieces back together.
Yes.
And everyone is on their own path. Everyone does their own things. We did hear a bit of your ministry stuff from Sizwe.
Yes.
But it's just beautiful to think that God is such a restorer. Really and truly,
He is.
He cares about not just people, but families and homes and children and parents. And it's just fantastic.
You know, you mentioned something. You said, this is Christianity. At first, you're a child and you're just, oh, everything is wonderful. And then you get older and you're like, oh, not everything is that. But then you learn this is worth fighting for.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight.
You have to fight.
And I've come to that point. I have this and I've kept it because I realized it's worth fighting for. At some point, I wanted to throw in the towel. Like you said, so much happens in your salvation. And it's just discouragement and depression and anxieties. And all of these things the devil will want to throw at you for the express reason of getting you back to where you started or getting you to hell. And so now I look at what God has done in our marriage.
Yeah.
What He is doing in my heart right now. I am in awe. I am in awe that I can be so loved.
Yeah.
And that, Lord, I know I should know this Christianity thing. I should have it figured out. Things are going to happen.
Yeah.
And He restored me.
Yes.
And He loved me back into His fold.
The reward of righteous decisions and fighting, the reward outweighs every trial, every time.
Yes.
And I know it's difficult in the time because you only see the problems and the devil exploits that. But I've gone through some things and I've made up my mind. At the end of the day, I trust God. Yeah. And that is worth anything. My worst day serving God is better than my best day without.
That's for real.
And you know, because you live that. And when you live those up and down trials.
So really, I see that now. And I can encourage anyone who's listening, don't go anywhere. There's a pastor who said, go through it on the front row. Just come.
Yes.
And then you will see. God has just blessed my marriage. And I have 2 amazing kids.
Yes.
And I'm just so excited for the future. I can't even tell you.
I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing so much. That was so good. And you popped up with lots of extra things I didn't know. So that was nice. I do want to say thank you to you because this was amazing.
Thank you.
So I appreciate it. I want to take this time to say thank you to my listeners. Without a listener, the story can't be heard. If you would like to contact me with questions, comments, or ideas, you can do so through the podcast email, notthesame.cfm@gmail.com. Take a moment to rate and review on whichever platform you're using. Like, subscribe, follow, and above all, share. Last but not least, I encourage you to take a moment and examine yourself. If you are not a Christian, or perhaps you don't know, you can be. The Bible tells us that out of pure love, God sent His only Son to die for our sin. A simple prayer is all it takes to acknowledge your sin, to recognize Jesus paid the price for that sin, and to sincerely ask for forgiveness. Until next time, I am Rachel Heimberg, and you were listening to Not the Same.